this is when companies started facing the problem that we tackled. Is basically it's not easy to adopt it. So that was a sweet spot that we actually entered in the market and that we found and where we added value.
Francisco is the founder and COO, if I'm correct, of Pandago. Francisco, please introduce yourself and your company. Tell us especially what you guys do.
Hi, Pete. Thank you very much for this space. Very excited to be here. I'm Francisco, nicknamed Pancho. I'm the founder and COO, correct, of Pandago. In Pandago, basically, we're a B2B sustainable mobility platform. What we do is we simplify the adoption of electric mobility for businesses, making it effortless and cost-effective through our software that we have developed, in which it helps companies throughout the complexity and the lack of knowledge of EV products, help them adopt efficiently an electric fleet for their purpose and for their business.
Really cool. Could you just expand a little bit more what you mean by optimizing? Is there any particular part of having an EV fleet or something that you really specialize in, or is it the solution that's A to Z, the whole complex operation of this? Tell me a little bit more, please.
Yeah, of course, Pete. Nowadays, every company is talking about sustainability, and when you have a fleet, you're obviously talking about mobility as part of that path of becoming a sustainable company now and in the future. We have encountered that the problem is that it's not easy to actually get electric vehicles and start operating them. The complexity behind them is mainly because it's a new technology that's arrived into the world, makes it sometimes hard for companies, especially companies that have been operating non-electric vehicles in the past 60 years, to suddenly transition into this. By identifying that problem, we've came up with an end-to-end solution, as you mentioned. We provide not only a study on how we can help these companies transition into the electric mobility sector, but we also provide everything that they need in this transitioning. And when I mean everything, is literally from the hardware itself, mainly the vehicles, software, so a platform that helps them control the fleet operations end to end. In this software, we connect the ecosystem behind operating a fleet. So that's all the garage, the insurance, paperwork, GPS, geolocalization, frames, countries, cities, everything that involves behind a fleet operation system. And then we operate the fleet for them. And when I say we operate the fleet for them, is we rely on the knowledge that we have acquired in the past 4 years, basically saying, hey, Pete, you're good at selling pizzas and delivering the pizzas. Let me handle all the complexity of handling the fleet, so that when you need to go out your pizza store and have a vehicle to deliver it, the vehicle is going to be ready, it's going to be in use, it's going to be in perfect condition, and you're going to be able to fulfill all the orders.
Obviously, there is a huge demand of EV vehicles. Everyone knows there is money saving and there is very friendly for environment. But tell me a little bit more about who is your typical client, typical customer, right? So are you targeting any very specific niches, or anyone with a large fleet and you want them to utilize EVs in their fleet more?
So on that question, we, as a startup, we've decided to put focus on one of the sectors that is high demand, high growth, and it's in everywhere we go. And that's basically the food delivery platforms. So on that end, my main customer will be any of the delivery companies, Uber Eats, even DoorDash in the US, those big platforms who are born with a sustainable purpose, but are having difficulties into transitioning into sustainability as their main focus on the mobility side, mainly because of how they work with gig economy workers, with freelancers. So that's where we come in and help them, and the fleets that operate for them transition into electric mobility, helping them achieve their company goals of being sustainable. On that end, tailwinds of all the industry of food delivery growing double digits year over year, the consolidation into 4 big groups of these companies has allowed us to enter the market and big. And this side, like I can say we operate in Spain, and in Spain be the main partner for all the delivery companies that are present here, and also having access to expanding globally through and with them, hand in hand, into other countries. That doesn't mean we don't operate into other sectors, but our main focus, and where we know that we have a product market fit and that we add value, is into this type of client and customer.
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear. What a fantastic product. And you actually have got confidence to go to the biggest players in this world, right? And as you mentioned, me as just a client, I just think that there is only a few names really that just do this. Obviously, smaller restaurants do have still maybe their own fleet, right? There are a few, Domino's, I think it's not on the apps. They have especially in the UK, they have their own fleet, right? Fantastic. And the big growing market is grocery delivery, right? It is definitely growing. It's still here. It's relatively new, but I don't know, Dubai, but essentially everything is delivered, right? And I think the model is already starting here. So you want to change those people into be more sustainable. What other benefits are there from utilizing EV? Is there some big money saving? Is it some big or time saving, or not refueling in a traditional way? Talk me through this. You've got so much experience.
Yeah, Pete, that's a great question actually, because so if we recall, like 3-4 years ago, right after we came from the pandemic, everybody came out like knowing and being concerned about climate changes and how we have to transition into electric mobility. In my sector, basically sustainability, and there was a bull shot into it started growing, right? And this is when companies started facing the problem that we tackle. Is basically it's not easy to adopt it. So that was a sweet spot that we actually entered in the market, and that we found, and where we added value. So on this end, 3 years ago, it was a nice to have, like I want to be green, I want to be sustainable. This is good for me. Also, like the industry it has developed and it has improved the past 3 years significantly. So 3 years ago, for example, batteries, right? That's one of the big issues in sustainability. Batteries, like for a motorcycle that I used to own, would last 30-40 kilometer range for the day. That can't replace a petrol motorcycle. Nowadays, you have 120, 150 kilometer range batteries. So that has changed. That has changed the industry. 3 years ago, the first early adopters were because they were very concerned about sustainability. Nowadays, it's much more cost effective to do your operations with electric vehicles than to do them with petrol. So it's a win-win. Basically, you're adopting being sustainable, but also operation-wise and cost, you're much more efficient as a company.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Right. I'm an EV user, actually. I had to change. It's a very small car. You say there was, I think mine does like 60 miles, 100K to one charge. It's like a city one. But when I looked at what I do, right, I just drive here, pick up my daughter, and every morning it's fully charged, which is fantastic. So obviously, I've noticed with a small car and very little journey I do, that money, it went down, how much I spend on those, right? If you have few vehicles and they should operate essentially majority of the day, right, being driven, the saving there must be huge, especially if you pair this up with cheaper charging, maybe even utilize solar charging for big fleets. You can probably now are in the position of having your own solar charging for the whole fleet. How do you pay for those, right? Super cool. Absolutely love what you guys do. So how did you all start, right? How did you find that whole, that there was a need for this in your market? But also what I'm really interested in is, how did you find the first few clients, right? Is it always difficult to find? Is it something that you partially offered as a now developed into the whole solution? Or was it already, with the aim of bringing the A to Z, the solution for companies?
So when we started, basically I started by myself, then my co-founder joined very early stage when we started the project. It started also with the delivery sector, but it was mostly focused on helping the gig economy workers on bicycle to be able to afford a motorcycle and an electric moped, to double their earnings and also have better working conditions. Because basically on a bicycle, 2-3 months pedaling, it can get tiresome. And basically giving them the possibility of adopting an electric vehicle under a subscription model, you don't have to pay up front, and it's prepare for you to work. That was the initial idea that we have. Once we started adopting small fleets, like 40, 50, 100 clients, we started noticing that some of our clients, back in the time, Gorillas, Getir, these clients came with a mentality of, okay, I'm really good at developing a platform that channels all the orders that I have for groceries, for food delivery, for everything. But when I look back, I have a whole mess of vehicles that I don't know where they are, how they are, and nobody wants to take care of this. I have my engineers looking forward into like developing client experience, like making it better for clients to have their food on time, all this. Nobody wants to put resources on the fleet. And that's where I come in and I was like, I'll develop the software for you. Like I'll take care of it. I'll handle it. How many bicycles do you have? 300. How many motorcycles do you have? 200. Perfect. Let's put this into a software. I'll develop the software for you. I take care of this. And that's how we managed to switch into this, basically what we have developed today, that is a platform as a service, the fleet as a service component that we offer the clients. Mm-hmm. And it was this pivotal point that actually made us realize that it was not only the market of like food delivery, you also mentioned groceries, a huge market as well, that there's a need. And many companies, when they have fleet as an intensive cost unit in their P&L, that nobody wants to put resources into this. And if somebody comes along, like myself, like Pandago, and says, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it, it's a huge improvement for the license, for the daily operations.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of actually, going to specialist companies, of extracting a chunk of your operations and say, these guys specialize in this, right? Put trust in them and they'll make it the best that they can be. Absolutely great. So that's how you found the very first client, right? Maybe the first couple. Has anything changed since? Did you develop a different strategy into going after those markets? Now you target some of the biggest companies in this world, right, as well. So I'll be very curious to know, what is your sales strategy? It's not that you have unlimited amount of potential prospects, right? Because it's not that many of those companies at scale that actually deliver, utilize vehicles in this way for delivery. So I'll be very curious to know, what is your go-to-market strategy? How do you make those connections? How do you start conversations and build proposals out of this?
That's one of you touched one of the main pain points that we have there, but not because we find difficulty, but because we lack of doing it better and doing it as we wanted to. And when I say this is, we're one of a startup that doesn't do impressive, massive marketing, and we don't capture through common channels. We're obviously like doing online paid media, inbound, outbound strategies, but I would say 60 to 70% of our clients come from referrals, and referrals with not contribution behind. Basically, like, our DNA is to be customer centric, and we really specialize in giving the best service, because in the industry that we operate, we compete with financial players. So basically the common renting, who are very strict, they're purely financial. And we compete with hardware competitors, where they develop the vehicles and they provide them, as they sell you the vehicle, and then they provide a post-sale service. We go with service approach. Basically, I don't come from the industry. I come from the industry. I used to work in big tech. I used to work for Facebook back then, now Meta, at Google. My co-founder comes from Vodafone. We come from telco and service companies. Obviously, we have a team that specializes in hardware and everything, where we lack expertise. But our mission and our obsession is, we go hand in hand with the clients. This is big projects, transition projects that take years. You cannot change a fleet of 500, 600 vehicles from one year to another. It takes a couple of years. So you have to develop that trust. And basically, where we have invested is solely in providing the client the best service. And that has made us get more clients. So that's our main acquisition channel, is our own clients referring other clients, or even, because we're a visible product, clients see our motorcycles, they're branded and on the streets and everything, they call us and they say, hey, like I've seen a fleet of Glovo, for example, like, are you the provider of that fleet? Yeah, I'm the provider. Well, I want to work with you because I'm going to start providing services to them. So it's a small industry in the sense that there are few players, but in volume is very big because you can go everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought, right? Because it's just you haven't got tens of thousands of companies offering this, and so for your growth, you need to have a strategy that really protects those contacts, right? We will call it like this a Dream 100. Doesn't have to be 100, can be 50, can be 500. But those companies you really want to go after and really start the relationship with, and just focusing then, okay, how do I know my 50 prospects I really want to start working with in the next 2 years? How can I start that relationship as my sales process, rather than with someone that could sell something for every company that there is, and they can do some mass scaling advertising, right, or outbound, and they can just rely on total addressable market, a huge one that they can go after, and you just not going to have this, right? So this is very interesting. Is there anything that taking in this in consideration, and especially you said that this is one challenge for you? Is it something that you exploring, if trying something differently, maybe going for the next year or two, right, in approaching in a different way than your typical maybe outbound or just SDR, and trying to set up a meeting before you're going to run out of the names that you can actually contact? Is there any strategies you've been discussing internally?
Yes, obviously. I think that's the main pillar of a company's sales. So basically, that's where you have to focus most of your resources. In our case, as I mentioned, we lack the focus that we want to have into the sales team, especially the structure. We're a company that has we're around 30 something employees, and the sales team is 3 people, including myself. And so we haven't developed a strategy of SDRs and having like a sales funnel optimized with sales metrics, because right now, and the situation that we are in, is the main challenge that we have is being able to grow at the demand rhythm that our current clients want us to grow. By those means, basically, like, some clients are telling me like, can you please open Italy, or can you please open London? Like, I would love to have you there, like, as my partner. I'm like, I would love to as well, but that's kind of like the challenge, like keeping the rhythm for our current clients. Good thing is basically like our retention is over 96, 97% of current clients. We have most of our sales are now coming from upselling those our current client base. But as you mentioned, that's short term. I need to start looking into the next 1, 2, 3 years that are coming, and I'm open to finding new ways of doing it, new strategies. Probably when you're operating, sometimes you see too much inside and forget to see outside what's out there. So I need to develop a strategy, as you mentioned, somebody or a team that is looking outside, seeing what's the next opportunity that we're going to have. And in that, we have the basics, and we have a lot to improve there. And hopefully we can manage to get something going in the near future. But yeah, that's totally something that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Yeah, I completely see this. Obviously, for you, it's not as easy as just jumping on a Google Meet conversation with someone in the States, and then you can do business there next week. It's a little bit more complex than this, right? But that shouldn't stop you from actually starting. That's what we would call it, maybe a pull marketing, showing some value, starting those connections, right? Because even they will have to mature into decision of looking for something different, right? The relationship building is going to take some time. So that's soon you're going to start, and you can start relationships completely remotely, right? And you can make that first contact and then make them a little bit wait and in anticipation when you are in the particular market. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so tell me, you've discussed a little bit about expanding to different countries. Well, what's the plan there? We discussed that when we met the first time a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think there were talks about London. But what's in this strategy here? Are you staying and trying to take bigger market share of your current markets, or actively looking, okay, which couple more countries we go into next year?
On that end, it's I think it's one of the main challenges every company has. Either like staying consolidated and take more of the market share, or expand abroad. On our situation, we're doing both. We're consolidating the market, but it's reaching a point that we need to start looking outside to grow mainly our potential growth is going to come from international expansion. Because you did mention it before, and I think you're right on that. The industry that we're tackling is not a huge industry. It is very big, but currently in Spain, we have positioned ourselves already with a big percentage of the market share. So I think that's a bit consolidated. It has some growth to it, but if we want exponential growth, we have to start looking outside. Our current roadmap is, because our product handles both software and hardware, so we have to have a physical operation. Also, proximity helps. That's why Portugal, Italy will be like the closest in the expansion roadmap as countries. Eventually, by the end of the year, hopefully London, mainly because size of the market. Some other countries or places in Europe like Amsterdam, Paris, and Denmark is also a very interesting market for what we do. And my special place that I want to go, you also mentioned it, is the Middle East. So you go to Dubai, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Saudi, all these places. I think the market of what we do and what our product offers and our value proposition has a really good fit in those markets. So that's my next dream moonshot plan, but achievable next year, hopefully. Being there with our first country by Q2 of next year, I don't see it as something that can be achieved. And that's where we're also like focusing and targeting.
Yeah. And rightly so. Obviously, there is a huge market for it. Maybe the petrol prices are not that big. So you have big arguments kind of thrown out of your hands before you start this conversation. Yeah. Maybe that I don't know how environment conscious they are really, because I've never really had these conversations with them. But I know that the petrol prices are not big, right? So you have one big conversation starter out of the way, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely there's a huge market. And it's, as you mentioned, this is very interesting market because it's huge. You see them every single day. Everyone uses one service or another essentially weekly, right? But it's consolidated into, like in the UK, I can probably name 3 companies, right, that they literally do this sort of deliveries. There's not many companies delivering their own things, right, as their own fleet. So they rely on a couple of those marketplaces, right? So there's a huge market, but consolidated into 2-3 companies per country, right, that really dominate that. So, but I think this type of delivery is going to grow. Obviously, Amazon is even in talks of really scaling up the delivery within the 10 hours or so, the same day. Obviously, they're going to have to utilize a little bit different tactics for this at some point. There is more of supermarkets are trying to attract customers like that. They're definitely trying because they know if we can just deliver something like a restaurant will deliver pizza, doesn't matter what we sell, right? Because even some people would like to buy a TV. Oh, no, that's probably not for the motorbikes. I don't know, an iPhone and have it delivered, right? Instead of going to a shop the same day in a couple hours. And I think it is going to be a big shift into this. And I think countries a little bit advanced like Dubai in this respect, right? And it essentially you can order anything on an app and have it delivered to you within an hour, right? Which is outstanding. And I think the market and the world will go this way. Cool. So if someone from listening this conversation here would like to find out more about your solutions and get some more information, where can they find you?
They can find us in our webpage, obviously, pandago.eco, ECO, or just shoot me directly a text on LinkedIn. I'm there. I'm always active. I think it's a great platform to do connections, and happy to if somebody wants to know more about Pandago, happy to have a chat with anyone.
Awesome. We'll obviously leave those links below. So if you want to connect with Francisco, with the team, find out a little bit more, please do. Francisco, thank you very much for joining me today and sharing what a fantastic company and with big mission. And especially, I am environment conscious. So I really like companies like yours to really putting that as a starting point of why they should consider changing of what they're doing right now. On top of this, you've got so many benefits, right, for those companies. Obviously, It's cheaper, it's better to operate, it's easier to manage. And your company, by the sound of it, can organize everything for those companies. And on top of that, your client seems to be staying with you forever, which gives me a good indication that what you do is absolutely amazing. I wish you all the good luck for all those ventures that you're trying. But thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Pete. This space that you have is amazing, and best of luck to getting more and more founders to get on your show, on your podcast. It was a great chat, and thank you for your invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.